the thing that was so cool is that when he got done, my head had C3PO, and it was not it. And I almost didn't want to wear it to school, but I did. And everybody thought it was so cool, and that my dad had helped me do this was incredible because everybody else is like, all I got was a store-bought costume.
Welcome to the Empowering Choices podcast. My name is Joshua.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Erik.
Lucas and Erik.
Not sure if we can tell today, but
yeah, licensed professional counselors when they're not doing their whatever this is.
And whatever this is.
This is
also.
Okay, this
I think most of your props are out of the shot there.
This
Josh.
is a professional mini golf player.
Okay.
I've got my putter.
Uh-huh.
I've got
a
the
professional.
colored.
Is that actually a thing?
Is that a thing?
Is that a real
It is
thing?
now.
Okay.
And
all right. So no.
I have a white hat. It happens to be like a Windows XP hat, but it's still a white hat, which I figure a professional.
Well, they
Is
might
that a golf player is required to wear a white hat?
It just seems like it goes.
It just
yeah.
You got to be more confident in these statements, Josh.
Yes, definitely.
You just got to bamboozle the audience and be like, no, miniature golf players always wear white hats.
Because when Mini Golf Pro was at its top, that was sponsored by Windows XP. And so we still carry that on to this day in 2024.
Do they have a mini golf thing on the Microsoft campus?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what
Miniature
you're-
golf, nothing on the Microsoft campus. They got a whole 18 holes.
Oh,
That's
are
true.
I kind of envisioned you were trying to get their attention.
Can
to
you
get
even
hired by
see
them.
me?
Yeah,
The visibility through those is really not bad.
Okay.
It's really not. Everything's a bit pink tinged,
Yeah.
but
Wait,
other than that,
Who are you again?
I just feel
How
like
did
I
I-
don't know who you are.
Listen, I just came in to use the bathroom. And somehow I got set
Wow.
at this table.
Well,
this is a
Okay.
mixture between The Fly
Yeah.
and Elton John, I think we decided.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Jeff
this-
Goldblum's The Fly.
The Fly.
And,
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
So this is allegedly our Halloween episode. as
Allegedly?
if you can't tell. And we've been putting the fun in Halloween.
No, we're putting the Wii
in Halloween.
For a couple of
And so-
episodes.
yeah, which is good.
And now Lucas will sing the Elton John song. Go.
Okay.
the Elton. There's only one.
Well, yeah, pick one.
No.
And Josh
not-
will play it on the
Yeah.
piano because
Yeah.
Josh can play.
Yep. I just need the piano. But
But he's
I
going
don't
to
have
do
one
the
yet.
air piano.
The air piano. Well, I'll do the air
Yeah.
singing.
Yeah,
No,
just hit the
singing
notes.
is-
Yeah,
Right.
there we go.
I am willing to do a variety of embarrassing things. Just singing is just not one of them. So, nope.
Well, you can rap.
I can rap. I
You
think
can
that's
rap.
far too close to being similar.
Yeah.
Nope, not
okay.
happening.
All right. You know, I heard rapping in a country song the other day.
I'm color me
I
not surprised.
almost fell
at
off
all.
my chair. Yeah.
it's a new day.
Yes.
So.
I'm like, this is country. This should not be together. I don't understand.
Wow.
Okay.
So how about a good just disclaimer to start with? If you haven't heard the previous podcast, they're about
We're giving the disclaimer. How many minutes in?
true, a little too far in on things you can do that are fun for Halloween. If you're watching today, this is released on Halloween. So we're just down to the day that you should be doing something fun with your family. And
Well,
if
and
you're
I
a
think
parent,
that's why
make it cool.
costumes are like a really good thing to be talking about on the day
Yeah.
of Halloween, because you're probably not dressing up in costume prior to Halloween day.
Right.
With some of the other stuff, we've got our decorations, we've got fun food. Those are probably like prior to Halloween day kind of things.
This
So
was my favorite costume.
the butterfly,
The rainbow, the butterfly, I mean?
the pink
Wow.
butterfly.
You went with the pink butterfly.
100%
No,
I
it was
did.
the robot.
You're wearing
Oh.
pink glasses.
Robot.
Did you know
Yeah,
you're wearing pink
it's-
glasses right now, John?
It's
Or-
now let's stay on what I want to focus on, which is
that robot.
yes. And I decided that
the
I
cardboard
wanted,
robot is pretty sweet.
Yes, I wanted to be C3PO for Halloween
Okay.
in the 4th grade. And so my dad went to work, and this is the closest he got to C3PO. Not quite this elaborate, but
That's a really,
works.
really elaborate.
Yeah.
it didn't have quite all the bells and whistles, but he did work really hard on it, and it was really
he genuinely was like
genuinely
manufacturing something.
working on
Nice.
making. He's like, I'm never going to get to C3PO, but we'll get to, I don't know, something like the robot that says "Danger, Danger, Will Robinson."
Well, I'm guessing this one has a dish drain for a mouth. Yep, those are
Yep.
like
Yeah,
dryer vent. Yep, dryer vent. Yep,
the thing
Those
that
dryer
was
vent
so
arms and legs.
cool is that when he got done, my head had C3PO, and it was not it. And I almost didn't want to wear it to school, but I did. And everybody thought it was so cool. And that my dad had helped me do this was incredible because everybody else is like, all I got was a store-bought costume.
Oh, right.
You know, and there was 100 Batmans and 200 Supermans and a bunch of fairy princesses.
And you're a cardboard C-3PO, man.
And yeah, I was like one of the only kids that, you know, their dad like helped them make a costume. And when I ran into the other kid, guess what he was?
Wait,
the other robot.
Okay.
The other guy who made a homemade costume was also another robot. Was he the other robot? Was he R2D2?
I think he went for that, but his dad didn't come up with that either. So
okay.
We were kind of...
You were generic Star Wars robots?
Generic sci-fi robots.
Which is cool.
It was not bad. He was pissed off because he thought he should be the only one. And I was like, dude, you make me feel not alone.
You were distinctly not the same. This thing is going to fall off my head. Well, I mean, speaking of like homemade costumes, right? Everything that I'm wearing, okay, everything meaning the hat and the shirt, I made.
Exactly.
Right? So I made the hat and then I did the colors and I did the pom-poms. So there is something really neat about like, it's mine. I made it. And that means there's not going to be another one out there like it.
Right.
So
that was what my dad kept telling me.
There is something distinct about, no, I literally know there's not another one out here like this because I'm making this one.
And that's exactly like how I feel about mine.
About your Windows XP hat?
I literally made this a few minutes ago.
We hate to tell you, but there really is a worker for Microsoft sitting at his desk right now looking about the same.
Right.
Probably, yes.
But at his desk, I mean on his couch in his house.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I made this hat is because I couldn't find an adult-sized, vividly colored like clown hat like this. I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So I made one.
But see, that's impressive. I don't think I could make that hat.
It's really quite jury rigged. From a distance, it looks pretty good, but you look up close and the stitching is real rough. But I literally made it that way on purpose. Like, you know, you can look at this. You look at this shirt anywhere up close, and it's rough on purpose.
Yeah,
I definitely was going for the vibe of like, you know, it's supposed to look homemade.
Yeah,
right. So, and then the accessories that I usually take this with make it creepy.
You're the casual clown, not the professional clown.
Well, I mean, you know, all kinds of clowns, right? My wife was told by someone who was a professional clown, and he was talking about like there's a lot of scary clowns in media and stuff,
right?
And he was saying, because he was a clown who genuinely did like kids performances and tried to do them like.
He was not actually trying to terrorize.
No, and he did a good job. And what he said was, he was asking my wife, "Are you afraid of clowns?" And she said, "Well, yeah, kinda." And he goes, "You're not afraid of clowns. You're afraid of bad clowns." He goes, "Good clowns, good performers. You know, like they don't scare people, particularly if that's not what you're going for.
They don't stand with a balloon in the middle of a dark road
and then eat people." Yeah, no,
yeah, right. No, I used to know a guy who was a professional rodeo clown.
Well, that's a entirely different set of skills than like making balloon animals.
But a good clown.
Yeah.
I mean, he's there to take the horns.
Right.
So that the cowboy doesn't.
And I hope he didn't in any kind of frequency.
But yeah, that is the fun thing. I always enjoyed being like real things for Halloween. So
oh, that's right. You didn't want to be Batman because Batman's not real.
Right. Yeah. So I was like,
you want to be a firefighter.
One year I was like a normal, like a city police officer. And then one year I was the California Highway Patrol. I remember in kindergarten, I actually talked my mom into letting me take the little handcuff things. We had the little plastic whatever, and I was like arresting people. And, I mean, I took it pretty seriously, but it was fun. But I do think what is cool is you could think, oh, you need to spend a ton of money, but you could actually just probably go around your house and come up with stuff to make a pretty cool costume.
Sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, just look at the robot.
Right. It's like a dryer vent. And
right. And my dad was a master carpenter, so you know he just started with a refrigerator box.
I'm fairly certain that the ears on that thing are like toilet paper tubes.
They're exactly.
So you've got cardboard, and then any of the accessories on that thing could be drawn.
Yes,
you could get a marker and draw the dials and stuff.
Well, one of my kids last year, his dad helped him, and he was being a certain type of a stormtrooper.
Okay, Star Wars,
and they got a bunch of really cheap foam, and there was a lot of painting involved, and a little bit of stitching and things. But when it was all said and done, I mean, he looked like the guy in the movies. It was
nice,
quite impressive.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, and one of my notes that I have here as far as like coming up with things for costumes is things from secondhand stores.
Right.
So it really depends on what you're going for. Second-hand stores lean into this too, right? They put out Halloween stuff, some of which is the store-bought costuming.
Yeah.
But it also feels like they bring out stuff that they don't normally have on the shelf.
Right.
You know, the kind of like, I don't know, maybe like all the tie-dye stuff they have sitting in the back. But yeah, it really depends on what you're going for. Because if you're going for some kind of like, I mean, I was just mentioning tie-dye, right? If you want to go from someone from the 60s, you know, maybe you find something from the secondhand store.
Yeah.
Rather than buying the, man, I don't even want to know how much store-bought costumes cost these days.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably $100.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
There's some
for a
crazy
head
stuff.
to toe, like, you know.
Yeah.
From Spirit Halloween. That's the store.
People
That's the
can
place.
drop a lot of money on that.
I
like buying a prom dress or a wedding dress. You can drop a lot of money.
Well, I mean, I've told for any hobby, any activity, the sky's the limit. You know, I mean, you can buy a gold-plated toilet.
Oh, sure.
So, like, what do you need? What do you want? What's your budget?
Well, and it's kind of like what we were talking about yesterday with like decorating. You know, where's your creativity, and how do you want to work with that, and what could be fun? And I totally get it that your kids may envision the absolute professional way that it would be made by a factory. I did.
Sure.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, nope, I'm gonna make you something, and it's not gonna be like that, but I'm gonna make you something. And right up until the day, you know, Halloween, when I'm wearing it to school, I'm not exactly sold on it.
Right.
But then when I saw the responses from the other kids, now I was sold on it. Now it was a great experience and a great opportunity, and I love that I have that in my past.
Well, and I would suspect that like the memory that you have of having made that is better than if your dad had dropped $100 on the store-bought
100%.
C-3PO costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Because like, oh man, and then even the memory of like the mistakes that happened, you know, is probably better than if it was genuinely perfect.
Now at that time, I would have much rather he dropped $100 on the C-3PO
Right.
costume. But that's
What in heaven's name, Josh, are you pulling up there?
Well, one of the things that I think is really cool is that I've seen this on TikTok and Instagram recently. A lot of parents have gotten really creative with kids that maybe are in a
like kids who need
wheelchair
wheelchairs or something,
or something like that, and they have come up with just some really fun
and amazing.
fun and funny and cool. I mean, like that would be awesome to be in that, you know, digger thing, whatever that. What do you call that?
My 2-year-old would call it a
Bulldozer.
Duggar Digger. That
there
would be
you
the
go.
correct technical name for that.
But yeah, I've just seen some really incredible things, and that's like a situation where, yeah, you can just be really put your creativity and like, I mean, that's pretty funny.
There was definitely a kid in a motorized wheelchair at the last Comic-Con that I went to that someone had crafted an entire Star Wars Star Destroyer around it.
That's cool.
So he was flying around the con in his wheelchair in an entire Star Destroyer.
That's sweet. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that'll make all the other kids jealous. They'd be
Exactly.
like, that is awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's was my experience is that everybody else is like, wait, your dad did that with you?
Mm-hmm.
They just took us to the store and bought stuff there. I wish my dad would have done that with me.
Yeah, because it's like a full experience too, and it's a thing you remember and you have
Exactly,
and that's part of what makes today fun.
And you will have to set limitations. Your kids think out of the emotional center of their brain, so they're going to think you're going to do it factory quality.
Right.
What they don't understand is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that, and so it's okay for them to push back, and it's okay for you to say, "Nah, this is what we're going to do."
Right.
This is where
we're going to have
at.
fun. We're going to have fun. Let's see what you can do. Now what can I do? Now what can you do? Now let's do this.
Yeah.
My dad was a little more on what all he could do, not as much on what I could do, but that's okay.
So obviously you can go trick-or-treating today, but what else can we do to have fun? Is there anything else?
To have fun?
Yeah.
Well, fun is very relative, and you make
Is
it
fun
where
in the
you
eye of
go.
the beholder?
What if it's raining?
Sometimes it does. Then you
In your
have-
case, that means a lot more.
They made an entire musical about that. It's called Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
So that's, kind of their way of having fun.
And that's actually where I was going to go with this. I put together activities before using, so this is just kind of a fun random thing, but this actually works great for Halloween. I used the song Thriller.
Yep.
And what I did is put all this stuff in a bag, like just random stuff. Like it could be golf balls, it could be some leaves, it could be string, it could be whatever. And said, you've got 10 minutes to come up with some kind of crazy dance or some kind of crazy whatever to this song. And if you throw that at like a middle school kid, they're going to usually just do some crazy stuff, and it's pretty fun.
This is your past life as a youth pastor?
This is my past life as a youth pastor. Yeah, we would call it music video in a bag, and just basically give them a bunch of stuff and say, come up with
to
something.
Use as like props or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and Thriller was just fun because it's a fun thing. And you mentioned yesterday, which I didn't even think about, the guy with the voice and the thing.
Yep. Hold on. There was a lot of pronouns
the
in
guy
there,
with
Josh.
the voice and the thing.
Right,
At the beginning of the song.
Everyone's you
Yeah.
know the one.
Yeah, you know the
guy
thing.
with the voice and the thing. You know the
The
one.
guy we had to
that
look
thing.
up to remember his name.
Yeah. So,
Vincent.
Vincent Price.
You wanted to play us some Vincent Price?
Yeah, I'll play some Vincent Price because, I mean, if you can't figure out something else to do, just have this guy do something.
He could be, playing when the trick-or-treaters are coming.
Yes.
The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize y'all's neighborhood.
Is the voice.
And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down, must stand and face
What
the
a look.
hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell. The foulest stench is in the air, the funk of 40,000 years. And grizzled ghouls from every tomb are closing in to seal your doom.
That's good lyrics.
Though
Yes.
you fight to stay alive, your body starts to shiver. For no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
He wasn't enjoying himself there, was
My
he?
favorite part of that is the end laugh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
You
no,
can just
he
see it on his
wasn't
face.
enjoying
Yeah,
that.
you can just see it on his face.
Yeah.
He's just like, yes.
Yeah, he's having a blast.
One of the events that I did, and I don't know how much opportunity there is for something like this. It probably depends on where you live. But my brother was into airsoft
Okay.
At one point in his life. And the airsoft community that he was a part of around Halloween did zombie-themed events.
Oh, okay.
So I was never into airsoft. I didn't buy the equipment or anything like
Yeah.
that. But like dressing up as a zombie to scare the bejeebies out of people was definitely in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So as long as you wore, clothes and the right safety equipment,
Right.
the airsoft BBs didn't hurt too bad.
Yeah.
So great Halloween activity.
Yeah.
Right. And they do things like zombie walks.
Oh, okay.
Or zombie
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many. I've definitely seen them before. I can't think of any local or current that are advertised.
Yeah.
But you were asking what else could you do besides trick or treating?
Right.
And then Thriller in particular, there was one of the zombie events that I went to where the people putting it on had a sound system in the warehouse. And so as the team that was going through all of their like zombie themed objectives,
Yeah.
they came around a corner and all of us actors were all lined up and they started playing Thriller
Nice.
and we all started dancing and then they mowed us down, which was just great. The whole thing was just
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, other things that you could do besides trick or treating. Yeah. If they have any zombie themed activities.
Or
Right.
have a haunted house.
Yeah. Sure.
You could have a haunted
Sure.
house.
Sure. Yeah. So many ways you could do that. Well, you could go to one. There's obviously professional
You
ones.
can go to one.
We're near the Nightmare Factory, one of the best ones in the country.
Yeah.
But then if you want to do it yourself, well, you've mentioned this story a couple times, Josh. You set up like like a scarecrow on your
Yeah.
porch with like a little speaker
Yeah.
in it for the trick or treaters
Yeah.
to come like experience that.
Yeah, use like a little walkie-talkie, and then when people would come up to the front, be like, "Hey," and scare them, and that was fun.
And then there's the like in vivo version of that
Yeah.
where I've definitely I volunteered at the Nightmare Factory a variety of years. If you portray yourself as the dummy,
Yeah,
and then people walk past and then you scare them.
right, totally.
Yeah, it works a lot better if you're standing and portraying the dummy.
Yeah.
To definitely do the like, get your arms out in like this position because like
Right.
humans don't do that, but
Yeah.
scarecrows and store-bought dummies do all the time.
Right.
So if you lean against the wall with this like terribly unnatural pose and a mask on
Yeah.
that hides your face,
You're good.
Don't ask me how I know. But yeah, I mean, you've told the story about a haunted house that you did in your house.
In the basement.
Yeah,
It was great.
so many ways.
Loved
and then
it.
like because you were talking about being a youth
Right.
pastor. Like, do
Yeah.
churches do harvest festivals? And yes, of course they do.
Yeah, and the trunk or treat is a popular thing.
Oh yeah. Well, and then like businesses will sometimes offer a trick or treat. I think you can go trick or treating at the mall,
Yeah,
right?
if
so
there's
ver-
still a mall in your neighborhood, but yes.
I mean, right? You can't go trick or treating. Maybe the Amazon warehouse should offer a
There
trick
you
or
go.
treating event.
Yes, that
That
could
would
be.
be really
That would be
really
fun.
hilarious.
They just pick off the shelves.
Right. Yeah. Get one
That's
thing.
not exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking they'd have enough square footage to
True.
do something.
True.
One
That'd
kid
be a-
walks out with candy, the next one with
Yeah.
a 72-inch
Plasma TV. Yeah, that's right.
Xbox, yeah.
Look what I got, Mom. As the security bells.
Right.
Oh no, they gave it to you for trick or treat. It's
Yeah,
not.
right.
It's not theft.
Yeah.
It's just
I
won't
think
fit
that
in
would
your
be.
bag.
I think that would be a really good PR move on the part of Amazon.
That would
They should.
be.
They
So
should
do
host a
that.
trick or treating event in their warehouse because I mean, how much square footage do they have in one
Got a
of those
lot.
things?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
well,
Amazon's
now
haunted
if
house.
They do it. Then
Jeff Bezos, if you're listening.
You,
Yes.
you get, especially here in town, you get Home Depot in their warehouse to do it because they're pretty much across from each other. So you've got two different places
True.
that
Big-
you
Oh,
could.
I was thinking the
Multiple
Home
big
Depot
warehouses.
storefront because that wouldn't be a terrible idea either because they're
No.
also just set up as a.
You could.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
they'd have all the
you
decorations.
meant dangerous things in a
Right.
Home Depot.
But yeah, I think the good news is in the past, there wasn't all this stuff. Today, you can easily find, and this is great if you have little kids or you don't want to
Right.
be, or it's the weather, tons of places.
Definitely have to have your
to
rain
just go.
your raincoat, your Halloween costume
Sometimes
compatible.
in Oregon, you do.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The words came out wrong. You have to have your Halloween costume compatible with a raincoat
Right.
frequently.
Right.
And you have to decide whether the raincoat goes over or under the costume.
Yep.
Because the chances of it raining around here in the Pacific Northwest on Halloween are high.
Very high. Yeah.
But depending on where you live, that may not be true.
Yeah. And some other places, though, like when it rains. And so I like growing up in Arkansas, there were some Halloweens when it was like, yeah, this just doesn't work. Like you're not going to go out in a thunderstorm.
Like raincoat don't cut
right.
it.
Like, you know, it's just not going to work. And so those are cases where especially the indoor thing or something is good at a school or a church or somewhere like that.
I almost think about you were talking about like the indoor version. There's a board game that I've played with some of my friends, House on Haunted Hill, which is it's you could play it anytime, of course, but like very very thematic, and you could lower the lights and light candles, and
Right.
have Vincent Price playing in the background, and
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it is just, we talk about this a lot, but just creating traditions,
Right.
things
Yes.
that you can do as a family and things that maybe are done. So they're so much fun that the next year the kids are like, can we just do that?
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, you create those. As you were talking about the house on Haunted Hill, I was thinking
I think
about
that's the name of it. I may be misremembering.
right. But one of the games we have over there in the clinic
Oh,
is
yeah.
Ghost Castle.
Well, we have 13 Dead End Drive too.
13 Dead End Drive is another one, which is kind of a rendition of Clue, with some different pieces in it, but especially Ghost Castle. It revolves around a haunted castle that you are trying to escape with all these traps. I haven't found anyone who played it that didn't like it.
I remember playing Ghost Castle. It's good.
It's great.
Yeah, and then you kind of go, oh no, I got eaten. I think you have to like go back to the beginning of the room or something if you get eaten.
Well, if if the trap knocks your character over, you have to either, and it depends on how you play it, if you go back to the beginning of that room or all the way back to the start, which
Depending
is another
on-
way, depending on how you're playing it. But the person who gets both their characters to the front door together leaves the castle. Everyone else is basically trapped in the castle forever.
That's the
That's
lore
the
around
lore
the.
of the
Oh
Ghost
gosh,
Castle. Yeah,
that's pretty grim.
that's pretty Halloween.
Oh, that's right. You had another bit of media that you wanted to show us here, Josh.
Oh yeah. Erik was mentioning this yesterday and the old show. It's
The old one.
The old Roseanne.
Yep.
Because they did try a new one.
They did.
Are you showing your age there, Eric?
Sure.
The old Roseanne. And they would basically do. You were saying. I mean, I didn't
Every
remember
Halloween,
every Halloween.
they had a haunted house episode.
That's a really good trick too. Just generally,
Yeah.
if you can get
Right.
someone to come up through a table.
So they're making their house into a haunted
So
house.
people come to the door and then
Yes.
they're like, come inside.
Trick or treat means you go through this. Yes.
Well, that could be a fun family activity.
So that wasn't.
Now
that
this
was,
is
okay.
the neighbor.
Oh God.
She has no idea who they are.
What is it, Kathy? I've had a really bad day and now I've got all this cleaning up to do.
Wow.
I need to go home.
Would you just look at this mess? I don't know how many times I've said it to myself. It's just like gutting a fish.
Wow. So not a door you want to knock on.
So, well, and it's every year they're trying to outdo the haunted house they did the last
see.
year.
Yeah.
And between Roseanne and her husband, they're trying to be the one that gets the other one, that completely fools them. And on that particular one, they decided to get the nosy neighbor.
Oh, that was the target.
That was to kind of pull
Yeah.
her in. And so they, it's one of those shows that it's like Halloween was kind of like a big holiday family, and they found ways to be able to really make it fun and come together as a family.
I was seeing some really good costume ideas as I was watching those. Like
Yeah.
the kind of like pile of guts on his shirt you could probably make with spray foam.
Oh, yeah.
Or like cotton bat. Oh, what's the one way you can do that? Oh, if you get nylons and you fill them with cotton batting and then you like dye them with like red paint or something.
Oh, yeah, that would work well.
Kind of put rubber bands on them I was gonna say a sausage, but in this case we're going for intestine. So
Right.
you could actually like kit that up on the front of your shirt and tack it down so you could walk around with it like a zombie.
And with this being a parenting podcast, it also might be appropriate to mention that I've noticed some kids they just don't care. They're like, everything's cool. But I've met some other kids who are very sensitive. So what do you do if you have a kid who's very sensitive? You obviously don't take them out where somebody's, intestines look like they're spilling out.
Well, I mean, like I was going trick-or-treating with my friend last year, and there was
Yeah.
a house that had quite elaborate decorations, and we skipped it.
Yeah.
Because he's like, no, my kid's going
Right,
to
right.
say in the moment, he's going to say, oh yeah. And then at 3 a.m, he's going to come screaming into my bedroom.
Exactly.
So as a practical matter, like,
Know your kid.
we are adults and we
Right.
can look at that Roseanne episode
Yeah.
and laugh. If my 5-year-old watched that, she would have, it would be not good.
Yeah.
Because she's
Right.
seeing the world more concrete, more literally.
Yeah, literally,
It
yeah.
is what it is. She actually did this. She
Right.
wants to do it to the
Right.
neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously know your kids, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Give them those allowances because, everybody has, a different sensitivity. And
Yep.
you
When you may have a 13-year-old who remains with the same sensitivity.
I knew an adult who was in the military and he was a squadron leader, and just doing the basic practices of clearing a house, he missed a sniper in the rafters, which, just killed 2 of his guys
In training.
in training. And in training, it was just all like paintball type stuff. That cracked his world.
Oh, okay.
Because the thinking of it being a realistic situation,
Right.
and he just lost 2 of his men because he didn't do
Yeah.
the thing that he was supposed to do, and as he put it,
Right.
and so it's
And the reality was that like this was training. Now
Right.
But in his world, it just went kapoof.
it just cracked
Yeah.
everything, So if you have a child that's more sensitive, going up against that sensitivity to make them strong can have the opposite reaction.
Right.
So know that sensitivity and go with it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you want the good clown, not the scary clown.
That
For
could
the sensitive
be.
child.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be, or no clown.
Right.
There,
Well,
there is
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends on your kid, right? There's some people who have been sensitized to clowns. Well, I have my friend. She does not like this costume, right? Because she has a sensitivity to clowns because of all of the various depictions that she has memories of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Halloween definitely is probably one of those places where both sensitivities and just age appropriate, like think about
Right.
what you're doing.
You don't have that problem around Thanksgiving quite the same way.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Christmas and Thanksgiving
Yeah.
don't have that, but Halloween definitely does.
And there are some definite things like Pennywise. Pennywise, we see it as a clown, bad clown out there. Pennywise was actually a real person, and it's based on a real story. And it was horrifying.
Oh, Stephen King's novel is based on a historical event.
Historical figure, a historical person.
Well,
Oh, how
that's
very
creepy.
interesting.
Really existed, and it was
It
a
was a
terrifying
bad
tale.
story.
Yes. Oh,
and then
yes.
and then he just took it to the supernatural. Stephen King.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, all right. Should
That's
we-
a great note to end on,
That
guys.
is a great
here,
note to end
here.
on.
This is a much better note to end on. By the end of the night, you should have a basket full of candy.
Yep.
And you have to go to the dentist, and you have a sugar high.
Yes.
And we really just got to wash that taste of Pennywise out of our mouths, guys.
Yeah. So if today you hear a knock at your door and you see 3 guys with a white hat and this and that,
That's only mildly threatening, Josh. We're gonna show up at your door, and we're
Yes.
gonna ask you for candy.
yes, we want your candy, please.
Or if you have a miniature golf course in your backyard.
You have a miniature golf
Yeah,
course,
miniature
Josh.
golf
There
course.
may be a Josh that appears.
Yeah, I'll play around and then I'll sign it and it'll be worth $1 million. So
You'll sign the golf course?
sure, yeah, why
That'd be
not?
like
Spray paint. I'll tag it. All right, well, have a fun Halloween. If you are not subscribed, definitely make sure to subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you ended up doing with your family for this Halloween, and we will see you on the next episode.
Happy Halloween!